You're listening to the Youngpreneurs Podcast, the #1 resource online for under 35-year-olds, where we chat twice a week to the most inspiring entrepreneurs in the world. We have it all. If you're looking for inspiration, guidance, or actionable tips to help you transition from that job into a business, or if you're ready to take that business to a whole new level, then this is the place to be. Get ready to live life on your own terms. Youngpreneurs, welcome to another episode of the Youngpreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, Victor Ahipini, and as always, thanks for being with us. You're some of the 5 people you spend the time with the most, and today you've decided to spend it with me and Eirian Cohen, who is a Northern Star acting and runs a UK-based acting academy and is also a mindset success coach. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
So for all of you out there listening, many of you will know that I am a Kiwi living in Australia in Brisbane, and we just found out that although we're separated from Portugal to Australia, that in a week's time you'll actually be in my backyard, which is pretty crazy. But if we go back to your backyard and growing up, was entrepreneurship always on the cards, or was there influences all around you, or was it something that you kind of stumbled across growing up, or was there a certain point?
My parents were both, they ran business after business. So I guess it was just ingrained in me as I was growing up, to just follow what you want to do and what makes you happy, and, that it's okay to take chances on what you want, and to be successful that you have to take risks. And so I think it's always been there, and it's always just been drilled into me. There was never going to be another option for me.
And so after school had finished, what was the journey? Was it into further study? I mean, you've got you're in touch with the acting world. Was it going into that? How did the journey from school student to successful entrepreneur or entrepreneur on a journey come?
Okay, very honestly, I had crippling confidence issues. I really, really wanted to perform. I went to a performing arts college first, and I lasted a few months, and I left, and I went to do some dead-end jobs after dead-end jobs, and then I moved away to Leeds, which is about 250 miles from where I was born, from where my family was. That was after I just turned 17. And I went to do a musical theatre course. And after that, even, I spent 7-8 years just doing nothing, just partying, going out, living for the weekend, just going from one thing to another, not admitting to myself what it was that I wanted to do, and just drifting along. I wasn't setting clear goals. I convinced myself that I couldn't do it. And it wasn't until I got pregnant at 27, and I guess that just made me reevaluate my whole life and existence. And that's when I decided to go into acting. Was when I was pregnant. It was something I'd always wanted to do, but I just convinced myself that it wasn't going to work for me, that I couldn't do it. And that's when I took the first step, and it all progressed from that.
So talk me through someone with confidence issues. How is your first choice? Like, I'm going to go and try to go to, acting school or musical school, because it seems like, for the introverts of the world, or those lacking confidence, they're like, oh, what's the worst possible thing that I could probably do is put myself out in front of all these people. I mean, I don't know. Is it that you could put on a different character and be in front of people? Or like, yeah, I mean, it seems like, public speaking, the biggest fear that people have. And yeah, how did that kind of decision come about?
When you put it like that, it's completely bizarre that I did that. But I don't know. One of my most defining moments that I remember being at school, I always, shrunk into the background. I didn't stand out at anything. I was very quiet. And I remember going up on stage and dancing, and it was very last minute. I hadn't prepared at all. I completely improvised this dance routine. And I just remember, I can't even tell you the feeling of when I'd finished and everyone was cheering, and people were telling me how amazing it was. And I just thought, for the first time in my life, I felt like I'd done something to be proud of. And I can't even explain the elevation it gave me. And I knew then that's what I wanted to do, that I wanted to perform in some way. And from then on, I decided, well, I'd do things like, I had a Saturday job at the time, and I'd save my money from my Saturday job and I'd book dancing lessons during school time. So I'd skive classes and go do private dancing lessons because I knew I wanted to perform. But, there was just major, major issues holding me back. But dancing was kind of the safe option. I didn't have to talk to dance. It didn't matter if I stuttered or got nervous and my throat closed up. It didn't matter. I was dancing. I was completely lost in another persona, and I could just get lost in it. And that's why I love dancing so much. And I think that's why acting came later, because I just didn't have the guts to go for it.
See,
at the time.
Those boundaries started to break down. So talk us through, you're pregnant. What was you said that was the time when you're like, okay, I'm going into acting. So again, kind of one of those illogical decisions of, I've got confidence issues, I'm going to become a dancer and an actress, and then I've got a baby. All right, now I'm going to chase my dreams. What was the journey from there to kind of a recruit, to having your own agency and things like that? How did that all kind of inspire?
Well, yeah, I decided to. Right, I think if something scares you, just do it. So basically, that's what I did. I talked myself around, and I did it. And I went to some acting classes and stuff to refresh myself about, because it'd been 7-8 years since I'd left my full-time training, and I learned a lot about the skill of acting. But what I didn't know anything about was the industry and how it works. My mindset was rubbish at the time. And so as time went on, I just thought, there's a gap here, that there's a space that needs filling, because there's plenty of acting classes that were great, but I went into the industry lost. I made so many mistakes. You wouldn't believe it, how I even managed to sustain a career as an actor. I have no idea, right? I did everything wrong, but I'm really grateful for that now, because that's what I learned from, and that's what I'm now able to share and pass over to other people, so that they don't make the same mistakes. And then, I just thought that people needed more. And Northern Star Acting, it wasn't my first academy. This was my second. My first, I went in with a business partner. I was still lacking a lot in confidence at that time. And I went in with a business partner. I ran that one for 2 years, and then we went our separate ways. And that's when Northern Star Acting was born. And that's when I came up with the concept of the actor's success triangle, which is acting, skill, mindset, and business. Because if any of those are lacking, then there's going to be problems. And the same can go for any sort of business. You need to know about the industry. You need to be very knowledgeable in whatever industry you're in, and you need the mindset to be able to succeed.
And that's what's huge. Like I love studying people, and what I mean by people is high achievers. I read obviously a lot of business and entrepreneurial and mindset books, but then I've got Michael Jordan, a biography written about Michael Jordan at the moment, and you look at actors like Will Smith or Jim Carrey, who when he was it I think it was him who wrote the $1 million check to him, to his future self.
Yes.
And
yes,
it's like as you cut out the woo woo out of that side of things, and like he wrote that going, okay, I'm going to get this, and some people say, oh, it was the universe, blah blah blah. No, he worked stupidly hard on his craft, and then that $1 million check came, and so like you say, I liken acting to kind of singing. I can't sing, but there's a hell of like you watch all the UK or Australia's Got Talent or whatever, all those shows. There's a ton of amazing singers. Like there's no shortage of amazing singers, but if they're singing other people's music, people get tired of them. They're like, oh wow, they're an amazing singer. Why aren't they famous? But they haven't got the branding behind it. They haven't got their own kind of culture. They're not creating a movement. They haven't got all of these other things that people go, I know you as such and such. They go, I know you as phenomenal singer who I watch once per week and give you a vote. Then once you're finished, whatever happens. And I guess, if you're going to be an actor, you have to have some sort of persona that goes around with it off screen. You've got to be the nice person, or the slightly crazy Johnny Depp, or something that people are going to remember you by, that you can build a brand about. And I don't know, I'm happy to be corrected on this, but you got to have that mindset as well. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that, because I mean, every actor is basically their own brand and business at the end of the day with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's one thing stepping into all of these different characters, but every actor needs to have their own brand as well. It's very much like any other business, and it needs to be run in the same way. And that's where a lot of actors go wrong, is it's so much fun and they treat it like a hobby. So that's where it stays, but it needs to be treated like a business, like any other.
And so from when that started, how did actors find you? Did you market to particular segments of actors? Were there people that you were looking to bring in and people that you weren't? Like, where was your business identity when it came to that, and who you were trying to attract?
So the thing that I was most passionate about, the type of acting, was acting for film and television, which is, again, completely illogical, because the main training I had was in musical theatre. But I went for the screen acting. As soon as I started screen acting, I just absolutely loved it. And I loved stage, but I just loved everything about film. And so that's where I decided to focus. And the general market, are the people who have always loved acting. They've always been passionate about it, but for whatever reason, they didn't think it was possible for them. They didn't have the self-belief, normally down to, past conditioning about getting a real job and that kind of thing, or, just generally life getting in the way. And then they reach a certain time in their life and they think, right, I'm going to go for it. Yeah. Much in the same way that I did, when I hit that point of, right, I'm going to go for it later in life. So did they. And normally it happens in the mid-30s. That's generally the type of person who we get in, and they make amazing progress quickly. It's all about self-belief. As soon as they've got that belief, then they go for it.
So talk about the self-belief, and how did you have this agency, and then I guess transition into the coaching aspect? Was that hand in hand with your business? Did you go and learn from others? Was it your own experiences put together, or did you, I guess, just like you learned about musical theatre, did you learn about the coaching side of things? And are they two separate businesses now, or are they one and the same?
They are two separate businesses, but what I found was that naturally, I've run a lot of other different businesses as well in the past, and I was looking back at every single one of them, and I found that naturally I was drawn to talking about the mindset side of things. And in that time where I was not knowing what I wanted to do in my life, I did a lot of different courses and things like that, and I did a lot around NLP, hypnosis, and this sort of thing, and life coaching. And I realized that naturally I always wanted to talk about mindset. That's the thing that really excited me the most, as well as people going for their passions. And it got to a point where Northern Star Acting was fully set up with systems, automations. I've got an absolutely amazing team of people running it day to day. It runs so well that I was able to move countries. I'm completely separate now, but I'm here in Portugal setting up an animal sanctuary, which is something completely different. But as for the coaching, I really wanted to reach more people. I wanted to expand beyond what I did for actors, because for the actual training in acting, I had tutors, coming in and taking the classes. And what I did personally was focus on the mindset, and I wanted to take that a step further. And nothing gives me more of a buzz than when people finally say, right, I'm going to do it, when they actually go for what it is that they're passionate about, whether that's acting or any other type of business. And my friends would always laugh at me because, whenever they tell me about something they've enjoyed, my answer is always, oh, you could make a business out of that. And then I go on to talk at them for about an hour about how they could create this amazing business, and they just laugh at me. But so it's something I've always loved, is that moment when people decide to go for what it is that they're passionate about. And so that's why I wanted to reach a bigger audience, and not just coach actors in that way, but coach anybody ready to make that change.
Yep.
And so that's why I went into coaching.
That's awesome. And with the coaching side of things, so for the entrepreneurs and the business people listening, what does the back end of your business look like? So, for finding new clients, or finding their ideal match, or the person who is ready to pull that trigger, or might want to be ready to pull that trigger, how are you generally finding people at the moment? What does your marketing or your acquisition look like at the moment?
I do a lot of different things, but the main things are social media. So Facebook ads are absolutely amazing when done properly. Yeah. And we also do organic things, like we run different challenges. Like I've got a challenge for actors coming up soon, which is where they will get to perform online, and they'll get a subject to perform on. They will do that live, on a live stream, and then we'll have a panel of judges, and it'll be put to a vote. So we do things like that as well. Yep. Just for fun mainly. Yep. But yeah, as for growing, it's normally Facebook adverts, and we've got an audition process. We've got a 3-step audition process for places. Again, this is something that people thought I was mad for, because at the time when I decided to start auditioning, rather than offering free trials, which I was doing at the time, I hardly had any students. And so people were like, well, you want to grow the business, you desperately need more clients at the minute, why are you turning people away? But I was adamant that I only wanted to work with a certain type of person. I wanted to create a tribe of actors who would all support each other, who have all got a good mindset, and who were positive, and who could motivate each other. And I also wanted to make sure that we only took on the people who we were 100% sure that we could help.
Yep.
And so I started the auditions against most of the advice I was given, not all. And that was the moment when everything turned around. And, had an amazing business. I'm still with her at the minute. Ellie Bursker is my business coach, and she guided me through the process and, kept me motivated when I was feeling rubbish and when I was having doubts and everything. And I just followed my instinct and went for it, and it worked.
And that's what's cool. Like I love your attitude towards, and as entrepreneurs, a lot of us have shiny object syndrome, which I think we see all these different opportunities. But from hearing your story, you're very much, and it's my favorite saying at the moment is ready, fire, aim. And it's like, all right. And this is, I hope it's not coming across as like mocking or anything when I'm saying like you had confidence issues. Okay, I'm going to become an actor. All right, I learned musical theatre. All right,
I find it hilarious.
Yeah, but it is. It's ready. It's like, okay, I'm ready for something. I'm just going to do it, and then I'm going to figure it out on the way. Whereas I think
absolutely
a lot of the people who maybe want to be entrepreneurs, or the people who start working with you, and again, I don't know your clientele exactly, but having worked with coaches and things, a lot of the people who are coming to you are the people who are potentially waiting for the perfect moment. They're waiting through all of their ducks are lined up. They're just finding a limit or an excuse or a belief that says, okay, I've got to ready, aim, and fire, instead of just like bang. And I help people create podcasts, and I help people with public speaking, and I say to them, if your podcast sucks, it doesn't matter, because no one's going to listen to it. A few people will listen to it, it'll suck, and it'll disappear. If you do it well, then what fear have you got? That it's going to be awesome? Or, that nobody's going to listen to it? Well, we'll put the right system.
I love that.
And it's the same.
I love it. That's so true. Yeah. If you're rubbish, you're never going to get the chance to do it anyway, so why worry?
Yeah. And
just keep working on it.
Yeah, so I really admire your ready, fire, aim motivation towards life, and for people out there, it's just as much as you say, just do it. Like, just do it. At times you have to research certain things, but don't let it stop you from pulling the trigger. You've got social media and organic posts. If you don't have the revenue to start your own ads, or you don't have this, or you don't have that, and there's meetups around your city where you can get your name out there, and we've all kind of done that hard graft, and then the hard graft just changes to something else as you level up. It never really disappears. You have the self-doubts when you get to the next level, and you have the self-doubts when you do everything. And we've had Ali on here as well, and she's had her trials and tribulations just like everybody else from when she was younger into what she's doing now, which is super amazing. And I guess this little I don't know, what do you call it, an acting diatribe, or this monologue is more saying, go out and do it. Your past doesn't dictate your future, and just get it done.
Absolutely. If it scares you, do it. That's how we grow.
Yeah. And so with that, what do you think your best attribute or habit is that's helped you in your business, and also what's your biggest weakness, or the thing that you're working on the most that you feel like potentially holding you back, or something you shouldn't be doing as much?
Oh, my best habit. Okay, so my best habit probably is that we've just been talking about, where I will take action first and then deal with it later. Action first and then think afterwards. Because I don't let myself get caught up in the what ifs.
Yep.
I have my moments like everyone else, don't get me wrong, but I can quickly turn it around and take action. And then, it's that point before we do something that's the scariest. So if we just do it, it generally just flows, and we realize it was never as scary as we thought it was going to be, because it's the what ifs that are scary. Our imagination can create all sorts of circumstances, and they don't always happen, and if they do, then we deal with it. But my worst habit has got to be social media, checking social media too often. Yeah, that's one that I'm working on breaking at the minute.
I've heard, and I have to get clarification on this. There's an option where you can do something with the color scheme, like the colors that are showing on your mobile phone, and it decreases the dopamine release that you get. So it decreases that addictive feel of, you pick up your phone and you swipe and you do certain things. So I'll get back to you on that.
Oh, wow.
I saw my friend talking about it.
Oh, cool.
It might have been
awesome.
Might have been that he put everything in black and white, like his whole screen or something, and then it gets rid of the colors, which more of the addictive dopamine releasing kind of things. But yes, I think social media is it's you've really got to think of it as business media, which I'm not saying I haven't got an addiction, but when you can put Facebook ads and Instagram ads and organic posts and run challenges, if you're spending time on that replying to posts, yes, there's ways to be more efficient and batch your time, but at the same time, it's better than when you catch yourself mindlessly scrolling through your thing because you're procrastinating. So that's what bugs me anyway.
Yeah, well, the excuse I give myself is, I use it for business. But the time, I just check it too often, and I don't spend time mindlessly scrolling. I don't really do that. It is very much for business, but I find that I'll be doing something else. Like, for example, I've just been working on a book, and I'm really, really behind at getting it to the editor. But even then, I'll have a couple of hours and I'll find myself on social media posting something or going into my groups. It's all, and I convince myself it's okay because I'm giving value or I'm doing something. But really, I need to focus on the task I've given myself to do.
Yes. Well, with that being said, you just talked about the book that you're writing, and we're happy to give it a plug when it does get back from the editor. But what's the book that's had the biggest impact on you and your journey, whether it be fiction, non-fiction, a pop-up child's book? What's been your biggest influence from a book?
Okay. Oh, there's two. One's fiction and one's non-fiction. So I lost one of my businesses and I felt like I'd lost everything and the world was against me. And I read a fiction book. It's also a film and it's called Divergent. And it gave me so much motivation. It's nothing about business, nothing about anything like that. But the main character in it is. Have you watched it before?
Is it that
have you
trilogy?
Heard of it?
Is that with the girl?
Yeah, it's a trilogy. Yeah. There's a faction in it called Dauntless, where basically she just has to be badass and get over all her fears. And I found it really inspiring, and I found it gave me superpowers. And if I'm lacking in motivation, I will watch it. And I found that. But more recently, Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant. It's incredible. Everybody should read it.
Have you been to anything from Tony Robbins?
I haven't, but I'm in the UK in April and I hear he is performing there. So I've got a few events on and I'm really hoping to be able to fit that in. I really want to go.
And I've only been to Unleash the Power Within, which is it's his kind of feeder into his Date with Destiny event, but it's 4 days. He takes 2 of them and someone else takes 2, but it's pretty epic for I mean, he's had his mentors, but he's kind of the mentor of the generation. Every coach or every high level when presidents and when number one tennis players and when all these other people around the world, rappers and singers and things, are all going to him, he must be doing something right. So success leaves marks.
Oh, he's incredible. I love everything he's about.
I deliberately, I hadn't really followed him, and my friend said, I'm going to him. Do you want to come? I said, oh, yep. And I deliberately, for the next 5 months, didn't look up anything Tony Robbins. I just wanted to go into it.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of knew what he was about, but I hadn't watched a video of his more than, say, 3 minutes. I hadn't, what surprises you to ruin it for you at his events is how much he swears.
Oh, really?
he swears so much, and again, it's really interesting, because a lot of his videos are obviously edited for the mass public and things like that, and so he jumps in there and he swears like a sailor, and it has its impact, and it does what it is. Final question for today, just to wrap up. 2 years' time, what are you doing and where are you doing it?
2 years' time, my animal sanctuary is set up in Portugal, which is fully sustainable and off the grid. I am continuing to travel the world, doing speaking gigs to larger audiences, and I have, in 2 years, I will have 3 books out by then.
Nice, that is awesome. So I just want to welcome you to the Youngpreneurs family, and if people want to follow you, connect with you, find out where they can send their animals when they're giving them a hard time, or find what you're up to, where can they go and what can they do?
The easiest way is Facebook, Eirian Cohen, EIRIAN, and Cohen, COHEN, and my website, www.eiriancohen.com.
All right, well, we will link that for spelling and everything. PassiveIncomeYoung.com, where you can find that plus everything else we've talked about and a whole lot of other cool resources. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to catching up in 2 years' time and seeing all the success and the impact that you've been having on the world.
Thanks for listening to the Youngpreneurs podcast. This was proudly brought to you by the Podcast Institute, the #1 training resource to take your business from chasing leads to leads chasing you, and from an absolute amateur to a full-blown authority. If you're looking to take your business to the next level, then a podcast is the obvious answer. You can get national and global exposure in a very fast time, and it's just exactly what I've done with this podcast. So if you want to find out more, get a checklist on how you can get started for under $60, and to find out more through a small training video that I've prepared for you all, then please check out PassiveIncomeYoung.com/podcast training.